Tarumbeta italia katika anga.
Like this. That is how the trumpet will sound.
Eko nene, so jana kulikuwa na a clash of the titans and the titans ilikuwa ni Mbadi versus Ndindi Nyoro, and it's a very interesting thing because I remember vile debate around Safaricom shares and Safaricom like the government stake in Safaricom being sold, 15% of it being sold. Kuna vitu Ndindi alisemaga, and during that period they didn't make sense. But then yesterday it got very interesting because Ndindi ameamua that he's going to die on that hill. Like he's going to insist that the Kenyan government can make more money from selling the Safaricom shares. So wacha tusikie vile Mbadi alitry kumanswer, alafu tuende tukile Ndindi alikuwa amesema, and then we see who was lying.
Someone who claims to be understanding, please give me a break. I cannot be spending all my time responding to your ignorance. It is sickening. How fast we will achieve this depends on our commitment as a country. The president has a vision and he has spoken to it. The government has a vision which the president has elaborated about 10 years. But you see, achieving first world status, you can do it faster than even 10 years, depending on how you are committed. But if you are not so committed again, it will take us a while.
Okay, so the president has a vision, achieving first world status. I think it's a lie, man. I think this nonsense of a first world status and see us achieving it, especially considering the lack of integrity in this country, I think it's a joke. And nasema this kama someone who nilisema this year I want to go to that first world country, which is weird because nataka kwenda China, and watu wamekuwa China wanasema it's living in the future. Kuna sasa what about the rural areas? Hata rural areas za hizi countries zingine kina US, you see undeveloped roads and you see extreme poverty. So I won't judge China through that and claim that the fact that najua kuna parts ziko undeveloped. Tukiangalia the cities za China, so far from what we can see from the outside, no country messes with China. Like China is on a whole other level. And this year should be the year that Ntaiona. Us wanna to like, no, they don't like us. And why don't they like us? Because why? Number one, when they interact with our politicians are corrupt as fuck. So of course they see lack of integrity, lack of what? They're not going to respect us. So wanatuwaka these savages, because corruption is savage in itself. I think kuna kitu moja ile boy anaitwa nani? Kasmuel alisemaga back in the days, alisemaga corruption is alisemaga nini jo? Corruption is genocide. But tuendelee na hii nini? So story ya first world, let's stop that bullshit.
So what we must demonstrate now is to believe in government first. I know that believability has gone down. I don't know why. A lot of politics around. Even things that have worked, no one wants to accept they have worked. And if it has worked, then you keep quiet. If it has not worked, you shout, which is okay. But what I'm saying is, if we remain committed and we stay to the course, and we allow this National Infrastructure Fund to be set, we avoid unnecessary litigation and unnecessary politics and saying things that we probably don't understand, where someone wakes up from his house and starts saying the price of Safaricom should be 75. Another one talks about it was 45. Yeah?
So his story, ndio, I think Ndindi Nyoro ended up explaining it in such a way that I was like, damn. So ukicheki CS Mbadi, and if you listen to him, you'll see he was answering this in a very confrontational way. It was not like intellectual. Najua vile like hiki tungesema ni the battle of the intellectuals. No, this was very confrontational. It was very dismissive. So ilikuwa ni yeye, and to go back to answer ya Ndindi usually draw hiyo kitu even for umsempaka ka bring up stories on Netflix na Warner Brothers. I was there like, damn, because ukimskiza, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Netflix, Warner Brothers, okay, this is the bidding war, okay. But tuendelea
45, yeah, without elaborating to you what made it to be 45. You know, capital markets, the way they operate, I don't know whether these people really understand how capital markets operate. Those of us who have studied capital markets, how they operate, we know that always prices are dictated by signals. Like, for example, if today I was having a business somewhere and you strike some gold, the prices of shares in that area will just go up because there is anticipation. So that is exactly what happened to Safaricom in 2021 when there was the announcement that we were expanding to Ethiopia. So the prices went up. When the market didn't respond as investors thought, the prices came down. That is how capital markets respond and react. And you get a politician who does not even take his time to engage his brain properly.
So, Matikiapa, you, a politician who does not take his time to engage his brain properly. And, as I keep saying, the Ndindi Nyoro thing answered all this. And it answered it with such a high level of clarity that I was like, damn, I've never, So this dismissive thing is just won't cut it. Najua. But we'll go to Ndindi. So, wacha tumsikize kwanza, Mbadi, alafu we go to the other side.
In how capital markets work. Then it was 45 shillings in 20. So why is it 28 today? He's not explaining to you that. Because his mind is stuck like a gramophone in some kind of political discourse that doesn't really help much. But I know some of them will start saying Mbadi is arrogant. But sometimes you get tired of explaining to people who should be understanding. If you claim to have studied economics, then you should reason better. I have no problem. I can explain to other Kenyans 1,000 times to understand. But someone who claims to be understanding, please give me a break. I cannot be spending all my time responding to your ignorance. It is sickening.
Damn, nasikia. Responding to your ignorance, it is sickening. And was it ignorance? Because I think like umse tumemsikia, and he just keeps repeating himself. So, on the other side, Ndindi Nyoro decided to like break this thing down. And the best thing is, I think Nation will end up capture like a significant part of how he was explaining this thing. And yes, let's listen to him, because I don't think it gets more clear than this. I was one of the people who didn't understand why he was talking about shares za kitambo, which hapo nizasema he was wrong. But how he's been able to tell us now like why the shares hizi zinauzwa they should cost more with that, because it's a stake that's being sold. It's not just about shares, it's a stake. Unajua, na hii stake ya control. So this is not zile shares zinanunuliwa na wase kama sisi every day. This is a stake that's being sold. So wacha tusikize.
Chairman, this transaction that we are having is the largest in terms of quantum since our independence. Kenya has never had a divestiture of this nature in terms of quantum. It is the first time. And therefore, it should be important that we make this debate as robust as possible. Before the National Treasury even brought the sessional paper, I would want to know, Chair, and it's not you to answer, I'm just asking so that the committee can continue also interrogating it, whether there was public participation done at the level of the National Treasury, and especially given the importance of this transaction. The second thing is that I am privy to the information that some of the people who actually represented the government of Kenya in this transaction are neither contracted by government, they are also neither civil servants. Who did they represent? And especially some I know.
Yeah, mchikiapo inaanza kuwa interesting. Like kama kuna wase walikuwa hapo wana represent gava and they are not civil servants, they are not employed by the government in any way. So who did they represent?
And when the right time comes, I will give names so that we move forward together as a country in this matter. How can we have in a transaction a person meeting our buyers informally, and the same people also do business with the buyers? And as they say so, Chairman, I know exactly what I'm saying. Even the people who I am referring to, they know. So I'd want to get a list from the time this transaction started. the inception, which is the committee that has been handling this transaction on the side of government? Who are these individuals? So that we run away from this blanket issue of saying government, yet the people we are calling government are actually not government. So, Chairman, it is important since this transaction started that we get a list of the individuals who have been involved in negotiating for this transaction.
Okay. So, hapa niko sure bado nashinda like say he's not getting to the meat, like what is he talking about? But it's good to establish that this whole thing ikianza, there were people who are negotiating, and these people who represented government don't actually represent government. It's just some individuals who have their own individual stakes. Because if they represented government and they wanted wangetaka the best for the government, and the best for the government is the best for the people of Kenya, and that's to try and get as much money as possible from this deal. Wakisema 240 billion, it looks like a lot of money, but according to Mseka Dede, we are losing out on at least 80 billion. But with the examples he gives, I'd say we are losing out on even up to 200 billion.
But some of the issues, because I've been following, I'll raise, are also issues that have been raised by other people. And this is my second issue. It is about the valuation. Chair, when I raised this issue first, the response I got from government was market price. National Treasury, I asked, what is the basis of valuation? They talked about market price.
And hapa sasa ndio naenda break down your story ya Mbadi. Because even me, I was convinced on market price, because I thought that that's how it works. Till I listened to this.
Chairman, since when I started buying shares, there is a canon of the market that is not just in Kenya, but across. That markets can give liquidity. So that when I want to trade shares of KenGen or Safaricom, there is somebody or a platform for me to trade with. But the market do not necessarily offer valuation. And I'll use Kenyan scenarios. Chairman, if, for example, you look at today, in the stock market today, because it's online, you realize that a company, for example, Kenya Power, trading at today's price, the market valuation of Kenya Power is around 30 billion shillings today. Actually 29 billion shillings.
Masikia hiyo? Like, ukiangalia tu price tu hivo, Kenya Power right now would be worth 29 billion shillings. Wewe unajua Kenya Power. Kumbuka majuzi when Adani was supposed to increase nini ya Kenya Power, whatever, like hizo lines and what, we were talking about 600 billion. But right now, Kenya Power, with all that infrastructure, if you are valuing it based on the number of shares in the market, zile, maybe one share goes for 30 shillings. That means that maybe, because one go for 30 shillings, then maybe there's a billion shares. So that's what it means it's worth 30 billion. Nacheki. And that's what Umsana dispute. Anasema it doesn't work like that.
This is a company with assets of over 400 billion shillings. A company making 24 billion in net profits. Chairman, I invite this committee to check. If properly we are looking for the welfare of Kenyans, could we sell Kenya Power even at double price of 60 billion? If somebody offered the government of Kenya today to buy Kenya Power for 60 billion shillings, double the current price, would the government sell?
Damn. Nasikia swali. Yeah, because I think history of shares, like the number of shares ni hivi, each share goes for this, and then we say that's the value of the whole thing, but it's not that, because there's the infrastructure. So easy shares zinakuwaga for sisi, like me and you, we can buy the shares, but that does not give the true valuation of the company itself. And I think you come to history ya 15% stake ya government, that's where the problem is. Like, how much is this thing valued at? We can't just value it at how much the shares are. I don't know kama nimekupoteza kwa hii story, but I think they makes it even clearer.
I think the answer is no. The same company, the valuation was 4 billion shillings 15 months from today backwards. Nothing fundamentally has changed, but the valuation of Kenya Power has more than ×7. There's nothing that has fundamentally changed. Just to show the vagaries of the market when it comes to valuations. You can talk about KenGen. KenGen is making around 10 billion in net profit every year. The valuation as of today is 60 billion shillings. Their asset is 500 billion shillings. The valuation of KenGen is 60 billion shillings today, Chair. Can the government sell KenGen even at 100 billion today and say we are dealing with market price?
Damn. Okay. Because I think the more I listen to Ndindi Nyoro, nafikiria kina Ruto si wajinga, kina Mbadi si wajinga. So this thing that's being sold, I think part of it is still going back to them. Because they're not stupid. Like, I think this is the easiest explanation. This is the simplest explanation I've had about this whole thing. This whole thing of market valuation. It's not just about share price. And this amount of shares, this is what we are selling. And we are selling, no, you're selling a stake. Yes, you're selling a percentage. You're not like me and blah, blah, blah. When we think about Safaricom and we think about the government, we don't say that, oh, the Kenyan government has blah, blah, blah number of shares. No, we say the government has a certain stake, like this percentage of this company belongs to the government. So how much is that percentage worth? That's the big question.
If you compare KenGen with a peer, a similar company, let me pick one market, for example, Nigeria. If you check NGX, the Nigerian stock market, there are similar companies like KenGen. One is called Transcorp Power. There is another one called Geregu Power. Geregu Power actually had a transaction the last 2 weeks. They produce power half of KenGen, yet their valuation is 200 billion. This is one market called Nigeria, valuing half of KenGen at 200 billion. This is our market here in Kenya, valuing double of Transcorp for 60 billion. That is a total mismatch. And that is why when there is a big transaction, markets are usually never used. And I'll give you the final example, Chair, so that we just understand where I'm coming from.
Damn. So I think this final example, if I'm not wrong, this is the example where he gives vile shares zake za Rea Vipingo and the way that they went about and Ekonene, najua mwaka ni mpya lakini injili ni ile ile lemfi. So kama uko US, uko UK, uko Canada ama uko the UAE na unatry kutuma do Kenya, baki umechangamka, ingia lemfi, utabaki umepata the most competitive rates. Lakini apart from that, on your first transaction ya $100 or more, utapata $20 sign up reward. So unangoja nini? Baki umechangamka, chap chap, ingia lemfi. Lemfi, international payments for everyone. Ekonene. This was such a simple explanation. Like after this, if you still support what Akina Mbadi and Ruto are doing, then you also don't have Kenya's best interests at heart. So, wacha tuendelee.
I gave this on TV the other day, but it's good I say it in record. In 2013, Chair, I had some few shares of a company called Rea Vipingo. And the company was trading at 27.5 shillings. And I'm still handling the issue of market price. 27.5 shillings. So some guys decided we are going to buy off Rea Vipingo. And they gave us an offer, just exactly like the one we have from our buyers. They gave us an offer of 40 shillings. That was a 45% upside. And me as a small-time shareholder, I was thinking, this transaction is too good. We need to fasten. I cash in the 45%. But what did they do? One company called Centum petitioned the Capital Markets Authority, and they decided to open the bid for other people to bid. What was the consequence? One company came, that one called Centum. This one had bid 40 for a share of 27.5. That is how it was trading in the market, and that is the last price Rea Vipingo traded in the market. So one guy gave us 40. After the bid was opened, me, I was thinking with my 10,000 shares, this is already too good a deal for me. Sent a petition, they offered a bid of 50.
Damn, unachikisa Centum. Sengila kwa offer 40, then Centum offer 50. So that's already a 25% increase. Yes, in what? Okay, but tuendele.
After 2 weeks, another company gave a bid of 55 shillings. I actually thought it was drama. Later on, the same company that was to buy at 40, called Rare Trading, gave the final bid after negotiations with the other bidders of 70 shillings upfront cash, and they were to divest from land which they have. You know Rare Vipingo, the area around Vipingo, that's the land I'm talking about. These are not stories. They gave us a condition, after divesting from the land, we were to get an extra 15 bob.
Damn, cheki. So umsana patiana story ya vile because of bidding, something that they were to sell for 40 bob, they ended up selling for 85 bob. And that's the same thing that's going to happen with Safaricom. If Safaricom is opened up for international bidding, because don't forget, kuna wase wako na do. Kuna wase like individuals who have more money than Safaricom. Individuals, somewhere. Kuna kimse kinatembea tu pahali kwa. Si tunatumia M-Pesa, but ifalena. So if such people, if you open it up to the world, because right now, we live in this global village. Na kome kwa kicheki, akina Kelis, everyone is saying that Africa is the future. If you want to invest in Africa, invest in Africa. So you have a lot of people who are looking at Africa. And a lot of people, if they were to look at Safaricom, because Safaricom is super profitable, they'd be super interested with that. And that means that there needs to be a bidding war. This should not be this simple, that it's close and shut, tunauza at market price. Hapa tulichezwa.
But because they wanted to exit very quickly, they actually told us, you not wait for the land to be divested. You guys, we are going to pay you 85 shillings now. A share of 27.5 shillings, chair. And I pocketed myself 85 shillings and other Kenyans.
So kumbuka, 27.5, 85 shillings. How much are we talking about? Because if we had to do 27 times 0.5 times Nini, 3, we'd get 82.5. So basically walipata 200% increase, over 200% of the value ya shares. So saizi kitu Mbadi anatry kutupushia ni story ya shares. Oh, the shares are worth this much, so this is the reason why we are selling our stake at this much. But now kitu limbamba na Ndindi is he ended up even giving the example here, what's happening saizi jia Warner, the Warner brothers and the Warner companies. And what's happening with it is kuna hiyo stories nini like different, like kuna Netflix wanatry kufight na Paramount. And since Netflix wana fight na Paramount, it's very different because Netflix I think walikuwa na offer 72 billion, Paramount wana offer 108 billion. But now the interesting thing, that's like 50% more. Yes, they're offering 150% of what Netflix is offering, but somehow the shareholders wa huko kuna vile bado wanataka nini wachukue Netflix waichukue. But that's what happens when there's a bidding war. For us, for the Kenyan government, what would happen is if there was a bidding war is Kenya would end up benefiting. And that's the reason why it makes no sense for Kenya to be in such a hurry and for asekaki na nani Mbadi kuanza kutu guilt trip na kutuambia oh you don't understand these things, don't talk about this, na kuanza kutu dismiss. Wacha tuendelee, wacha tusikize.
So my submission, Chairman, is let us open this bid to international bidders. And we lose nothing. If Kenya gets an additional 150 billion, I thought the mileage will go to government. They'll build more roads. So, I mean, everyone benefits. Why can't we be patient for 2 months and we get a higher price, Chairman? Thank you very much. And as I submit, we look about the dividend. This is another securitization, as you know, of dividend. I would want to know even from the committee, maybe separately. You know, there's something called MTDS.
So hii ni kitu moja nataka kujua, like if you are Ruto and this NIF, National Infrastructure Fund, this is your legacy, and there's a madman in the market saying that just open up an international bidding war and in the process you might make more money. Why would you still insist on making less money? Unless this less money is just less for the government but not less for you on a personal level, because otherwise it makes no sense. najua it's like hii kitu nimekuwa nikisikiza, and the more that I really like this submission ya Ndindi, it was so good that damn, I don't even know what to say. Like I feel this is the sort of thing nataka kukaa chini na Mbadi to watch so that I can hear Mbadi dismiss it, because remember I'm also on record nikidismiss msave like wanabonga jo hii shares ilikuwa hii shares ilikuwa hii, because by that time I didn't understand your difference ya shares zinatradiwa na market valuation. Those are two very different things. And but tuendelee kidogo.
Take a company like Diamond Trust Bank, a company which is a bank with 100 billion shillings in shareholders' funds or core capital. If you buy the share today in the market, it is trading at 32% of that value. Would you go to Happy Bank to tell them to sell you the share in the market price? Would they agree? It has never happened in the market and elsewhere. Currently in the US, there is an ongoing bid of a company called Warner Brothers Discovery, the owner of CNN. But they are not selling in the market. There is a bid, and the final bid is two companies, one called Paramount and Netflix. Then, this jargon about the market, a sophisticated market like the US is seeing the value of in competitive bidding in a private company. But here in Kenya, we have been cornered by our buyers, and we are now talking the language of market price.
History of market price. Hapo walituweza. Damn, I won't lie to you because I thought I understood history yote. And I think even for Mbadi, if you saw how Mbadi was talking and how confident he is and how dismissive he is because he knows a lot of us will just think about market price. Then we go look at the shares pale kwa wall. Then tutangalia, okay, Safaricom ina own this. Okay, let's take, and how many shares is this? Okay, this percentage, but every share is this. Okay, so 240 billion. And out of this 240 billion, I think even kuna 3 billion inaendea sewa unaitwa nini? Inaendea the consultants and the lawyers. So of course they have something to lose. Alafu kuna I think another 40 billion sijui inaenda wapi. So we are not even getting the whole sum. And this guy has put up something very simple. Why not let a bidding war? And kuwena hiyo open bidding where different companies can bid. This still won't take anything away from Vodafone. Vodafone will still be the majority. How ndeta kwa majority? Because don't forget, hii kile kitu inauzwa ni 15%. So 15% inauzwa. Haijalishi how much you buy your 15%. It won't make maybe Vodafone ama Vodacom ibaki imekuwa nini because maybe walikuwa wamevalue kitu yao less. No. You're still going to get your 15%. So this was very interesting, and we'll wait and see what happens. What do I expect to happen? I still expect the government to sell at the lowest price possible. And say, I don't know, man, like one day when he leaves the presidency, I wonder what's going to happen. Is there going to be someone who will revisit and see how much dirty stuff was happening in the background? Because it makes no sense. This is one of those scenarios where it makes no sense. Nakumbuka hata nini msewa Safaricom Peter Ndegwa alikuwa interviewed on Monday. Na yeye mwenyewe alikuwa anasema that damn, hata yeye mwenyewe kuna information hakuwa nayo. Aliona tu vitu zina move. And saizi vitu zime move so fast. And these people don't care about Kenya. All they care about is the individual pockets. And that's the reason why this thing, do I think Ndindi anyone is going to listen to him? No. Najua. And Ndindi is not a perfect guy. I'll always keep saying that this is a guy who at some point wanted this to be a dictatorship. But on this issue, this specific issue, sijaona msei kwa more on point kumshinda. But let's wait and see what happens, and let's wait and see which politicians get richer from Safaricom being sold. Ekonene.